Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our monthly webinar series. Glad to have you here and excited to talk about two new projects or a new program and one that you may not be as familiar with here and for our July webinar. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Guy Gaster. Here with Visit NC and serve as our state film commissioner, but also as one of those and other duties as assigned, get to serve as host of our webinar series. So glad to be joining you again here for July. As always, we are recording this, and a copy of the video will be made available on our industry partners YouTube site, which you can access through the industry partners section of visitnc.com. And again, as we get underway here, we're going to be talking about a new research dashboard that I think all of you are going to find very useful. And then happy to have partners from the Department of Transportation and the NC Byways program to talk about what that program is if you're not familiar with it, as well as how you can get involved and participate with their promotion. So with that, I'd like to welcome Marlise Taylor, Director of Tourism Research, and she will help start us with the first half of our webinar. It's all yours, Marlise.
Thanks, Guy. Hi, everybody. It's good to be here with you this morning. I'd like to first ask Matt Kalpa and Lily Ellett to join me. If you all don't know Matt, he is the Director of Analytics for our partner agency, Luquire, and has been extremely helpful in this project that I'm going to talk about. And hopefully you met Lily at our conference, but she's our new tourism data specialist, and just wanted you to put a face to a name because she is instrumental in all of our research here at Visit NC. And as always, if you can't get in touch with me, please make sure you reach out to her or reach out to her before you reach out to me. But really just wanted you to get to know her and see her face. But this project we're going to present to you today is still a work in progress. It's going to be an ongoing work in progress, but really what we want to do is to kind of show you what we have developed with Matt's great assistance over the last several months. And it's not a lot of new data yet, but it's taking a lot of the data that you are used to receiving in various ways from Visit NC and putting it in a more useful and I would say attractive way for you to access and utilize through a dashboard method. So what we're going to do today is look at the visitor spending statistics that we present to you annually, and as well as some hotel and some vacation rental data. Again, this is our kind of initial draft. This will be, we hope to have it live on our industry site by early next week. We're still working out a few minor kinks to the dashboard, but we hope to have it live for you next week for you to go in and start playing around. Again, not a whole lot of new data for you yet. You will see when we present the economic impact data, you'll still see 2024 data, even the state level data, though we have released 2025 state level data. We decided to wait until we do get your county level statistics for 2025 to add them to the dashboard so that they'll be comparable. You'll see when I show you the map functions on the dashboard. But you should be getting those at that typical time in early August. So I know you all get anxious about that, the release of those numbers this time of year. So we don't anticipate any delay in those numbers this year. So hopefully we'll have those to you and we'll have those added to this dashboard soon. So Guy, is the dashboard being shown now, or can we go ahead and share, or do I need to reshare my screen?
Yeah, you'll need to reshare.
I need to reshare. Okay, let me do that right now. Here we go.
Perfect.
Okay. This is so exciting, guys. So hopefully you can see that. If Matt and Lily, you could just give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Yeah, good. Okay. So here's what we have here. And again, this will be live early next week on our website. So you'll see here at the top, and I'm going to ask Matt and Lily to jump in with any clarifications if I miss anything along the way. But you can see here at the top, we have our tabs that you're going to want to start with, and we'll just start with the economic impact. So these are the data that you get annually. We release our statewide data in May of every year, usually around Tourism Week, and we release our county level data, as you know, in early August. August. So here, what you're going to see first is you're going to see a series of these scorecards with state level data, employment, income, tax savings per resident. This is all state level data, state taxes, local taxes, and then those sector level spending data that you're used to seeing. If you scroll down on the dashboard, you're going to see the entire state. We are working with some of the colors. I realize some of the regional colors are a little similar on some screens, but they're not on others. So we're working out a few kinks there. But you can see here that we do have the marketing regions, the 11 marketing regions that we use at Visit NC distinctly coded here. Now, when you hover over a county, you're going to see that particular county statistic, and you're going to see what region they are in. You're not going to necessarily see the regional statistics. We are trying to determine a way to show you the regional statistics in a map function. But right now, what you're going to do, I'm going to let's pick Catawba County. I heard a little birdie told me that maybe Sarah or Mandy are on the call today. I don't know. But let's just pick Catawba County. So you can hover on any county, and you're going to see the most recent visitor spend. And I probably should have shown you, whoops, you can increase the size of the map. You could pick the year here, sorry, in this filterable year. We're going to go back to 2016 here. The reason for that is that's when tourism economics began giving us the sector level spend. So we're not going to go back prior to that. If for some reason you need data prior to that at that total spend level for your county, we still have that in the archive section that you'll be able to access. So we're going to go back to 2016. So we're just going to look at 2024 now. So let me go back and go back to Catawba County. So if you hover, you're going to be able to see the data, right? You're going to be able to see the spend. You're going to see the state and local taxes, the tax savings. But if you click on the county, you're going to see that Catawba County is highlighted. And if you scroll back up, you can see where these scorecards are going to change. And so this will be just that Catawba County data, right? Now, if you continue scrolling down, you can see that we have population in here. And the reason we have population is because population is used to determine that tax savings per resident. So that may or may not be of interest to you, but that data is very important in calculating that metric. But if you continue to scroll down, you'll see for Catawba County, for instance, you're going to see that sector level spending by year and how those numbers have changed by year per sector. Again, this would be at that county level because you chose Catawba County at the top. Let's pick another county. Let's go. All right, to click off of it, to go back to the state, you're just going to click off them and click into the ocean there. Let's go Pender. Maybe Tammy Proctor is on the call. Click on Pender County, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to see that these numbers change to the Pender County 2024 data. And you're going to scroll down, and you're going to see the population. And then you're going to see the sector level spending estimates as well. So we're hoping, again, this is data that you're already receiving from us, but we're hoping that this gives you a more useful and interesting way to look at the data. It's going to give you ways to look at your neighboring county data easily without having to move through those PDF files unless you need to. You're just going to be able to simply hover and look at the different counties in terms of their data. Now, you're also going to be able to still download that data. I'm going to scroll back up, and you've got that data export here. And so you're going to be able to click on that data export, and you are going to be able to export the data by year, by region, or if you scroll down further, by county as well. So you're still going to have, similar to those PDFs that you've been given, you're still going to have the ability to access that raw data, and then you can export it that way if you so desire. Before I move on to the lodging, Matt, Lily, are there any things that I have missed here on the economic impact pages?
Just one quick one for that population time series.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to call out that there are other metrics available as well. So right now it lands on population.
Oh, sorry. Yep, you're right. Here we go. So yeah, so you can look at employment, the time series. So obviously we know, and this is statewide. I still click, yeah, statewide. So you can see, of course, we know that employment dropped during the pandemic, and we're still, remember, I keep telling you every year, we're still not quite back to pre-pandemic levels, but we're getting there. So yeah, so you can, thank you, Matt, you can click on other metrics, and remember to keep scrolling because it's not going to show them all at once. So you can scroll. And so here's your total visitor spend here and the change, right? and you can hover again to get those total numbers. We found that it's better to hover than to put them on because they're a little large and it would kind of clutter the graph. But you can hover and get those data. Here's your food and beverage spend. Okay. Anything else I'm missing on this one?
I think that covers it.
Okay. And again, we'll have questions shortly. All right, let's look at hotel lodging. Again, we use STR CoStar data. Contractually, we are not able to give you raw data. So what we have done here is to present you with percent change month to month and year to date. So the top scorecards here are going to look at the top or the 6 KPI metrics as compared to same month last year. So if you'll see here, you'll notice that the latest data we have here for hotels, North Carolina, statewide, is May. So you can see here are the metrics for May as compared to May 25. I know a lot of us are concerned with year to date. How are we doing year to date? We get those questions a lot. So the bottom row is year to date metrics. So I like demand. Demand is one of my favorite metrics. I think it's something we know we have an effect on. We know we can affect room nights sold. So I like looking at demand. So you can see year to date, we're down just a tiny bit, kind of flat, right? Down 0.8. But May is we're starting to see things pick up a bit. So up just a little bit statewide. I will tell you right now, we do not have regional level data in this dashboard, but that is our next goal, is to have some regional level percent change data in here for hotels for you. So we wanted to make sure we got this right first and provide this to you. Again, you could scroll down here and look at annual trends. So I picked demand. Again, I like demand. I think it tells me a lot. You could pick year. So let's just start with just 2026 and we can look at the trends. Again, I can't provide you raw data, but you can at least see monthly. And again, demand, we know that winters are softer. And so we should see demand increase, right, month by month. Now I can pull another year in. Let's just go and pull in 2025 as well. Now, what we also know is that last year, because of hurricane recovery efforts in the mountains, we know that hotels did have higher demand for a couple months because of those extra hotel stays that weren't necessarily leisure visitation. So this is sort of somewhat of an anomaly, and you could pull multiple years as well. I probably wouldn't pull too many. It gets a little busy, but you could go in and pull, say you want to pull 21 and 22. You could do that as well. So you have a choice there. I probably wouldn't pull too many at one time. You see how that looks. Perhaps even more helpful would be the year over year change. So again, remember that January 25 was it somewhat inflated because of those recovery workers. So you can see that this past January of 26 was down a little bit in terms of hotel demand, right? Not too surprising. But with the spring, we saw some increases in hotel demand statewide. Again, I could go back and pull another year in and see how things changed there. So again, here's that inflated demand in 25 from 24, right? Things settled down. So this is percent change. So this isn't a true indication of how things are. You know, if I put in 2023, we would see probably a more realistic trend line. I'm not going to do that right now, but you could put in multiple years to be able to view seasonal trends year over year. Okay, so this is hotel data. And again, statewide data, but we're going to work on regional, those same marketing regions that we provide for the economic impact. Anything else to add here?
You covered this on the first slide, but just wanted to restate that I know some of these visuals, the colors can be kind of, there's not enough contrast behind the background. So Marlise and I are working on that so that it can just pop out a bit more. I know some of them kind of blend in a bit.
Yeah, that's why I didn't pick 23. I
Yeah,
think
once,
it's or
yeah.
24. I think 24 is we're working on 24. Yeah, so we're working on the colors. Again, we're so excited to get this out to you guys and keeping them to our brand standards. We're working on making this as readable as possible for you. Again, and if I didn't mention, you can pick, I said demand is my favorite statistic, but you can pick occupancy if you want. You can pick any of these metrics here to look at. Now, very similarly, this is using our AirDNA data. Similarly, it's the same layout, same indicators we're using, but looking at vacation rentals, and we're looking at entire home rentals. Instead of just shared rooms or shared homes, we're looking at entire home rentals. Same data. So looking at May versus last May, you can see demand up about nearly 2% over last May. Year-to-date demand flat from last year to date. I will tell you, just as an aside, looking forward, because with AirDNA, we're able to look at what's booked already for the next few months, and that's not on this dashboard, but just to give you a little extra information, we are looking at that data, and it does look like what's already booked for the summer, for what's left of the summer and early fall, things are looking positive as compared to last year. So while we're pretty flat year to date through May, June, July, August, September are looking pretty positive as compared to last year. So we're looking forward to getting that revised data in. But you can see the same thing. The top row is as compared to same month last year. Bottom row is compared to year to date last year. Again, you can look at pick your favorite metric. We could pick a different one. We could pick ADR this time. So you can look at how ADR changes seasonally, not unexpected here. And you can look at how ADR changed as compared to same month last year. So you can see we saw a dip in ADR in April and May as compared to last year's statewide. Okay. So it's very similar or identical to the hotel lodging page. And again, that data export, we're not allowed contractually to provide the raw data for the lodging. So you will not find that. You'll only find those visitor spending statistics, employment taxes and such on this page. But certainly if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I will tell you our plan is to continue adding different types of data to this dashboard as we are able to. We think that there's a lot of data that we are able to pull and provide to you. Lily's working on some really exciting metrics. If we could just figure out, the best way to hone them down in a way that is filterable and will give you the best data at that regional level that we can. We're going to get those on this dashboard as well. If you'll just give us a little patience there, we'll be doing that. And hopefully you'll find this very useful to you. We've been really excited, and this has kind of been a long time coming. We've been working really hard on this, and I just want to give Matt a huge shout out. He's been extremely helpful. We've gone through several iterations with several different platforms. We've gone through about 3 different platforms to pick the best one for the type of data that we're providing. And I think that this Power BI has worked out for us, and we're really excited to bring this to you. Before I turn it over for questions, though, we do have a help and definitions page here, just so we do get a lot of questions about mostly about the economic impact study and, how do you get this data and what does this mean? And so we do have definitions page here that we will probably add to as we continue to bring you more data and metrics onto this dashboard. So hopefully you're as excited about this as we are. Again, let us know if you have questions, but I think we probably have time for a few questions. Guy, I'll let you make that call, but we're available. If we don't have questions now or we don't have time now, we're available later for questions as well.
Great. Very good stuff. I guess one, and it's probably premature, but would go ahead and ask Marlise. I think I know the answer, but as people start using this, once it becomes available, if there was a category or something that they were interested in, they could send you or Lily a note and inquire about that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have ideas or if you have questions, we're happy to say, yeah, we can do that, or no, we don't have that data, or no, the sample size isn't sufficient, or we'll think about it. We're always open and transparent as to what we can and can't provide, and we never sit on data that is available to provide to you. Certainly, we want to be as open and transparent as possible and give you everything that we're able to give you. So, yeah, if you have ideas or you have questions or suggestions, let us know and we'll do the best we can.
Okay, great. Well, again, Marlise and the team will be around at the end of the webinar as well. If you think of questions that you weren't able to get in right now, or something pops in as you hear from NC Byways. So thanks again, Marlise, and we will see you shortly. It's now my pleasure to welcome Andre Neighbors with Visit NC and our partner and industry relations team. And Andre will introduce our next speakers. Take it away, Andre.
All right, thanks, God. Appreciate it. And great presentation, Heidi. I think that's a great way for our partners to gather that research information there. So thanks a lot for that. So good morning, everyone. Glad that you all are here. Excited to have our speakers talk today about the Scenic Byways program. Our purpose here really is just to share information about the Byways program in general, and particularly the program here in North Carolina, and how we might be able to enhance that visibility as well as a visitor experience for North Carolina as well. So let's see, Wanda, Heidi, and Kyle, if you guys would pop on here. So we have Wanda Maloney, who's with Corridor Solutions. We have Heidi Schlag with Heritage Tourism Studios. And then we have Kyle Cooper, who's with the North Carolina Department of Transportation and our Scenic Byways Coordinator. So Wanda, if you guys want to go ahead and share your screen, I will heed the time for you guys to go ahead and get started. So thank you all for participating today.
Great. Okay, everything good with the slides, Andre? You can see those? Everybody can see those? Perfect. Thank you for inviting us, Andre and Visit North Carolina, to speak today about the Byway program in North Carolina. My name, again, is Wanda Maloney. My company is Corridor Solutions. I work with byways across the country, and I'm based here in Winston-Salem. With me is my colleague Heidi Schlag, and she is the founder and owner of Heritage Tourism Studio. So first, I'd like to start with saying that I tell people all the time that I think that the North Carolina Scenic Byways program is the state's best kept secret. So hopefully for those who are less familiar, what we're going to share today will bring you up to speed with the basics of what the program looks like and what the opportunities are. So we'll talk about kind of what is the definition of a byway, and how they matter and why they matter to tourism partners in the state, and how they fit into the visitor experience in North Carolina as well. And also as DMOs, kind of how you can engage and benefit and take advantage of the routes that may lie within your region or area. I'd like to start, though, with sharing a quote from an article by a travel writer who recently traveled the state, intentionally seeking out and traveling along designated byways in the state. And she writes that the state's mix of mountains, Piedmont, and coast might be its obvious selling point, but what really stays with you is the way its roads invite you to experience that variety without rushing. Scenic byways, protected seashores, and modest small towns work together to turn driving into an act of exploration rather than endurance. You begin to see that a long way around is often the better way, especially in a state that rewards curiosity at almost every bend. I love this because it does encapsulate everything that byways are designed to do, right? Invite travelers to slow down, explore, and get to know the people, places, and stories along the way. And you may have also seen several articles this summer that are based on a study by Wallet Hub. And it ranked road trips across the country, and it also ranked scenic byways. And North Carolina was ranked number 9 for road trips and number 4 for scenic byways. So this has created quite a buzz with articles. Particularly, I've seen many from the western part of the state, and then also some national articles. So that's good. It's good publicity, and the state again ranked really well in both of those categories. So backing up a bit now to sort of go through some of the policy-based elements of byways themselves. Again, sort of looking at, we sort of had the feel-good version of defining a byway, and now sort of what is the policy version of that? Well, byways are essentially public roads that have possess unique resources that have some official recognition. That means they've been designated by a state, an agency, and we'll learn in a bit about Federal Highway Administration designation. So these designations are based on types of resources along the route. And those resources generally fall into 6 categories. And those categories are listed at the bottom of this slide: scenic, historic, cultural, natural, recreational, and archaeological. So then the challenge for those who seek designation for these routes is to say, our route possesses these resources, and these resources tell a story. And so then there are strategies are used to sort of tell the story. And we're all familiar with how we do that. We can do that through brochures, through roadside kiosk, and lots of different ways to tell the story of a place. So types of programs. We've talked about North Carolina, the state of North Carolina. The program is located within the Department of Transportation, and the state has criteria for designating routes. And again, those criteria, like most states, are based on the presence of those 6 types of resources that we talked about. Tribes can also designate roads within tribal lands, and also federal agencies. The Forest Service, U.S. Forest Service, has a scenic byway program. And there's a Forest Service byway in North Carolina. And also in the western states, the Bureau of Land Management designates routes through their backcountry byway program. So looking a little more closely at North Carolina, the state has 62 routes, 63, including the Blue Ridge Parkway. And as you can see from the map, those routes are distributed throughout the state. You can find information about the collection from the North Carolina DOT website. And also the state publishes this beautiful guidebook. And we'll drop the link to this in the chat. It's beautiful, full color booklet that contains information about all of the routes, including some maps. And it is a stunning publication. So the highest level of designation is at the national level. There's a program that is collectively known as America's Byways. These routes are nominated by states and agencies and selected by the U.S. Secretary of Transportation. North Carolina has 5 routes that are designated at the national level. There are 2 levels of designation. The first is National Scenic Byway, and there are 3 of those in North Carolina. And the highest level of designation is All American Road, which include the Blue Ridge Parkway and Newfound Gap Road. So if we put all of those designations together, this is what the map starts to look like nationwide. There are a lot of designated routes across the country. Probably, I don't think anyone is certain about the exact number, but close to 1,000, likely. Information on a nationwide level of byways can be found at travelbyways.com. That is a website that is managed by the National Scenic Byway Association. And I wanted to spend just a minute looking at more closely at the regional network of roads in the Southeast. And this is relevant because there are a lot of reasons, a lot of motivators for people to drive scenic roads. But one of them is that a primary one is that people like to search for alternative routes to highways and interstates. And so when people are planning trips within a region, they look for ways that they can avoid the interstate. So luckily, there is a very robust collection of roads in the Southeast of designated routes for folks to choose from. So that is my very high level overview of scenic byway programs. And now I'm going to hand it over to Heidi, who will provide a little bit more information about the benefits of designation and managing corridors as assets, as tourism assets.
Thank you, Wanda, and thank you, Andre and Visit North Carolina, for having us. So to just follow along with what Wanda was talking about, we've seen from the maps that she put up there that North Carolina's byways are part of a much larger network connected to state, regional, and national collections. And there's a lot of visitors out there who prefer to travel those routes. So the question, I think, for all of us as tourism marketers is, what does being a part of that network actually do for the destination? So the four of the benefits of designation are up there on the screen. The first is marketing and promotion. Designation connects your byway to networks that are already doing the work of attracting road trippers. The North Carolina Byways Guidebook is a great reference for travelers within the state. There's a travelbyways.com national platform, America's Byways. There's a variety of discovery tools that visitors are using when they're looking to drive the more scenic route. And when a byway is designated or named, it gets plugged into those systems. The second is resource protection. So designation creates this framework that helps communities to be intentional about the assets that line the road that they're helping to protect. This can include the view shed, the historic character, and the small town feel that makes the corridor worth driving in the first place. Without active stewardship, those things can quietly erode. So having that byway designated helps to hold that entire linear experience together. The third is quality of life. Byways obviously aren't just for tourists. How many of us hop into our car on a Sunday and go for a Sunday drive on the beautiful back roads, looking at the mountains and the forests? The well-maintained, beautiful corridors that byways provide is something that residents use and take pride in. Investments in the byways tend to generate community pride and really help with the quality of life for the people living around them. I should also note that a lot of scenic byways also have dual purposes as recreational routes. So for cyclists, walkers, runners, and motorcyclists also. So there's a wide variety of users making use of these byways. And then fourth is economic impact. I have some numbers on the next slide that will make this more clear, but it's very evident that scenic routes increase spending significantly and help to increase length of stay. So next slide. So you can see here, these are some of the larger routes that have had extensive research done on them. You can see that the Blue Ridge Parkway has hosted 16.7 million visitors and driven 1.5 billion in nearby visitor spending. Great Smoky Mountains and Newfound Gap Road, 12.2 million visitors and 2 billion plus in nearby visitor spending. And then the Shenandoah National Park and Skyline Drive, 1.7 million visitors and 132 million in nearby visitor spending. So it's obvious these roads are doing a lot more than just moving travelers from place to place. They really are connecting communities, extending trips, helping to support those local businesses, and helping the visitors to explore off of those highways and really get to experience the sense of place that the byways travel them through. So next slide. So as Wanda said, North Carolina has this exceptional byways asset already set up. And Kyle's with us on the line, who works on the DOT side, managing these byways, and can, I'm sure, answer any questions at the end that you might have about the state byway network. But the important part for you as DMO partners is that you're not starting from scratch. You've got 62 designated scenic byways. And as the articles pointed out at the top of this presentation, there are journalists and travelers out there enjoying them already today. So the opportunity for all of us on the call is, how can we leverage and elevate these byways to help us achieve the tourism goals that you might have individually within your regions, for the state as a whole, and to help visitors have longer and more fulfilling experiences. So most of NC Byways are not actively managed. So this getting a little into the weeds about how byways are managed across the country, which we won't go into here, but most of these byways are managed just through DOT. So they do not have what are called corridor management plans that are really specifying how these corridors are being managed and marketed. So this is a gap that DMOs are very well positioned to step into. You can begin by looking at the byway or byways that run through your area. If you're unfamiliar with the stories that those byways are telling, getting a copy of that NC Byways book is a great place to start. They have a couple pages on each byway that talk about the stories and the natural and historical assets along those byways. And then you can start connecting your partners and your attractions along those byways and putting together marketing plans or trip planning content that help your travelers explore those routes while they're in your destination. So next slide. So this is one example. There are many, but this is actually from my hometown. I live in Frederick, Maryland, and Visit Frederick just put out this publication a couple months ago that highlighted the 5 Maryland state byways that run through Frederick County. So this is available online if you want to download the entire booklet, but you can see, the highways are boring. It's sort of this, pithy way to capture people's attention and make them excited about exploring the back roads. They've provided a really great map here that show how the 5 byways intersect each other and the different parts of the county that you can explore on each one. And then they do break out each byway by spread, talking about their individual stories and all of the towns and different attractions that are on each byway. So next slide. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back to Andre, who can touch on what we've been talking to Visit North Carolina about on the scenic byways front. But we're hoping that we can continue to elevate your scenic byways in North Carolina. Wanda and I and Kyle are all available to answer questions, and I'll let Andre talk about Visit NC's role.
Yeah, so been talking with Wanda and Heidi here for a little while now, and Kyle as well. And just really wanting to become more ingrained in what the Byways program has to offer, working with Kyle and the folks over at the NCDOT as well, not to step on any toes or anything of what they're doing there, but really just to enhance that experience and enhance that visibility of North Carolina Scenic Byways program. So what we're really looking at is to possibly, kind of develop a partner-based program with this as well to to help enable, our DMOs to possibly package and promote the byways that are in your area, bringing those off the byways into your downtowns, That's something that we had talked about, just enhancing the byways through a flexible menu as well. But really just, having, those designated routes, turning those into curated road trip experiences to influence that travel, those travel decisions, and of course support trip planning and extend length of stay for North Carolina as well. And Kyle, not to put you on the spot or anything, but is there anything you want to kind of share about, DOT's role in the Byways program as well? Or if anybody, I don't know, G, if anybody had any questions on here yet as well.
I didn't see any questions, but I was just gonna say that if there's any questions about the program or the history of the North Carolina program, or questions about designation, we have information that we can send out to groups, a North Carolina handbook that explains the criteria, a little bit about this program, the federal program, and then it also has a preliminary application in that as well. So you can just reach out to me, and I'll throw my email information in the chat so that people can have that information.
Oh, thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Kyle. So Guy, that's pretty much our kind of presentation. I really just wanted to get that word out to our partners here. We really like to take this program and enhance it because I think it's just a great program. And as Juan had mentioned before, it is kind of a hidden gem, or what we call North Carolina, one of North Carolina's best kept secrets. I guess we can put it out there that way. But any questions, Guy, that maybe come through, or if anyone wants to put into the chat, well, they're certainly welcome to help to answer those also.
Yeah, great. Thank you guys. There was a question, and I hope Amber Benton is asking this, and Amber, if I've gotten it wrong, feel free to send a note here. But it was, I think it's with regard to what maybe was a byway program with the U.S. Forest Service, if that was still active. Are either of you familiar with that?
I can take that one. Yes, absolutely. The U.S. Forest Service still has a byway program. Currently, and as has been true for many years now, there's a resource limitation of resources with public lands. So, but that doesn't mean that local communities and regions still cannot leverage those resources. The Forest Service will partner and work with DMOs and other local partners to promote byways. I work with Forest Service byways across the country, and they do routinely partner with local communities to promote the byways. So I guess my point is, just because their resources may be limited, it doesn't mean that the byways aren't still there, and they're doing everything they can to maintain them. And they're actually some pretty stunning some routes across the country. So I know for sure that the case of Cherahela Skyway in particular has a lot of partner engagement from tourism on the Tennessee side, and has not really had as much on the North Carolina side. So I think that's a great example where some opportunity does exist for partnering to promote that route.
Great. All right. Thank you. I know from a filming standpoint, it is a popular location that we've used, particularly for commercials. And I probably shouldn't say this, but a well-known motorcycle manufacturer is in the area actually next week doing some filming. So
wow,
that's
great.
yes, definitely there. A great question here. What would you say are the top 2 or 3 challenges for a destination to get a byway designated?
Challenges, well, coordination, I think mostly is because you want to bring all of the relevant stakeholders together when you're looking at designating a route, because it's important to have everyone at the table. Because whatever your plans and goals are for the byway, you want to make sure that they align with the goals and the interests of the communities that the route passes through. So I think that the challenge that will result in the greatest benefit is to bring together all of the relevant stakeholders. And then, of course, a challenge that it will persist until the end of time is funding, of course, for special projects or enhancements. Oh, three challenges. I can't think of another one off the top of my head. I think that coordination and partnering are the critical parts of the process. And
Great.
Kyle would probably agree to that. He might have something to add to the challenge section.
I would say that I think the biggest challenge is maybe not necessarily in the designation process. I think support is the biggest one in the designation process, like you were talking about, Wanda, because we have to have county commissioners on board, local municipalities and towns, if the route travels through them, and obviously community members, because this is a grassroots program. But I think long term, it's continued involvement and support and marketing of the byway. I think that's the biggest challenge long term, and short term is that support.
Is there, and there was a question kind of on that, I guess in regard to maintenance. Kyle, maybe this falls under you, but if someone was to get a byways destination, can you talk a little bit about the maintenance of the byway and where that falls? What's maybe the community's responsibility versus what may be DOT's or yes.
So in the past, we've had federal funding available for somewhat maintaining view sheds along byways. So we don't maintain, if you're thinking about turf and a lot of the visual aspects of it, we don't have the capability of doing that. So that really falls on those communities to kind of pitch in and really invest in their byway routes. And unlike a lot of other states, we don't require corridor management plans for our byway routes. Recently, we have kind of bolstered our application process and our application in general that mirrors the corridor management plan that the feds require for their national scenic byways. So they're hoping that that will help these byways keep their beauty and their aesthetic qualities for the long term. But right now, there's no specific maintenance plan or strategy that we have for byway routes. And Wanda could probably speak to that with working with other states.
Every state is different. So, yeah, generally, byways are maintained in the same way as sports maintenance issues. Now, enhancements are a different story. Different states have different standards for the type of signage that they put on byways, but that's getting way into the weeds
Sure.
of things. But I think there was a question in the chat about byway signs and who pays for them and who installs them. And Kyle, that's certainly something that you can speak to. But I think from a safety perspective right away, there are those types of signs. And then signs that we also frequently found in byway are interpretive types of signs that aren't necessarily in the right of way. So that's a whole different issue aside from directional signage, which Kyle can speak to.
Yeah, so we actually have the signs created, and we ask and work with our local division offices through DOT to install them. It kind of depends on workload and everything for them, but we do our best to make sure that signs are placed at the correct locations and replaced as they're either stolen or knocked down. That's something we're still working on. We've been re-signing all of our routes since 2022, but we have over 2,300 miles of scenic byway routes, so it can take a little bit of time. But yeah, if there are any signs that people notice are missing, they usually just reach out to me or the local district office or division office to let them know.
Okay, great. Question on Kyle, sorry, you're in the hot seat again. Not hot seat, but you're a popular man.
okay.
The DOT wildflower program. Many of us who have been around are very familiar with it and continue to see it literally blossom. There on the roadways. But is there coordination possibly with that program and the scenic byways that continue to maybe add some additional visual visual enhancement, if you will, on those roads.
I think the only instance you will see that is the few byways that we have on 4-lane highways, which is very
Okay.
few because that's not what we focus on. But those wildflower beds are usually strictly focused on high profile areas along highways. That way you're getting the maximum amount of eyes on it from travelers. So, I don't think we've ever really talked about that within our department, is how can we, if we can use the wildflower program and kind of help promote byways or the wildflower program with that. But my supervisor is actually the manager of that program. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me, or I think we have a specific website for that. I can drop that in as well.
Okay. Great. Well, I'm going to give a moment in case there are any other questions, and happy to obviously continue talking byways, or if there are any other questions about the research dashboard, feel free to drop those in. I did want to share our next webinar here as I give a second, will be August 13th. We will be giving a quick Visit NC quarterly update. And then we're going to have a marketing express session. This is similar to what we've done there at the Visit NC Tourism Conference. But this one will be taking a look at social media and a little bit of the changing algorithms. So it's not necessarily what Visit NC is doing specifically, but how the algorithms are changing for several social platforms and why you might not think they're as social as they used to be. So, hope you will join us for that on August 13th. I think I said, all right, Kyle got that. Any last questions for us here before we go? Well, then to that end, Wanda, Heidi, Kyle, thank you so much. Lily, and Matt, appreciate you joining, and Andre and Marlise, of course, are available. If anyone has any other questions or follow-ups that they want to ask, but two great programs, and we're happy to have shared more information about those with you guys. And again, if you want to come back and review what was shared, or you think one of your own colleagues would benefit, we will have a recording of this webinar posted within the industry section of visitnc.com. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.